Hello and welcome to the SOLABS QM Insights podcast. This show is dedicated to helping our clients learn from experience. I am your host, Etienne, a senior marketing coordinator at SOLABS. And in today's episode, we will focus on the latest release of QM10 and the new audit management capabilities that are made available for all of our clients. Similarly to our previous episode, we will be publishing this on YouTube as well with a visual support. So the audio version is entirely fine as well. But if you do wish to see the demonstration in video as well, you can get that on YouTube. So today I am joined by Gretchen Dixon, a product specialist at SOLABS. Hi, Gretchen.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. And then we also have Martine Boire, our head of product quality. So hi, Martine.
Hi, Etienne.
Glad to have you both with me. Before we go too deep in our topic, you can find more documentation on what we will be talking about today on the 10.9 release by typing 10.9 in the search bar of our knowledge base or our website, solabs.com. The article I would recommend most is called Release 10.9.0, New Features and Qualification, and then another one on SOLABS QM10 audit process more specifically. You can also learn more on the use of online assessment and the audit process. There's a ton of new information in there, so please consult the knowledge base if you would like to know more. With that said, let's begin. With the QM10 Release 10.9.0, one of the main benefits that we now offer to our clients is the audit process. Gretchen, could you tell me what is the rationale behind including this for all of our clients?
Well, as you all know, in the life sciences industry, we always say if it isn't documented, it didn't happen. So everything that we record to prove our processes, our manufacturing, it is all via documentation. So that means when we're in an audit, whether an internal audit, whether a regulatory agency is auditing us, whether we are auditing a supplier or an external partner, we are relying on documentation as proof of evidence of compliance. So, what better than to use SOLABS QM10, where if we're doing an internal audit or we're being audited ourselves by a regulatory agency or a client, we have all of our documentation in QM10. We can easily attach it to the audit process. If we're doing an external audit and we get documentation from who we are auditing, we can scan it in and attach it to the audit. So not only are we able to attach documentation related to possibly our audit agenda, our audit plan, our audit report, but we're able to also put all of that documented evidence that we've collected through the whole time. And everything then is all in one place as related items, very easy to access and look up the information.
All right, so hearing all this definitely makes sense to add this as part of our basic offering. Could you walk us through some of the steps of the audit process and how we personally use it internally?
Sure. Here we have an audit process, and this is a completed audit process. So what I'd like to do first is open the flow chart. All of our processes come with a reference flow chart. So if we take a look here, these are the workflow steps of the audit process. And you'll see shortly information that you can enter at each of these steps, but it allows you to formally capture the activities related to your planning of the audit, all of the preparation activities that you might normally do for an audit. Then this section here called Audit Activities is where you will record information as you are doing the audit, things like daily summaries. Ultimately, your audit is complete and you have a section in the workflow for preparing and issuing an audit report. Next is a section for you to handle everything you need to regarding the responses to the report and the completion of any commitments that need to be made related to those responses. And then at the end, the audit will be closed. So what can we enter in all of those steps? Here we see a completed audit, so we can see our high-level process details will tell us how many days the audit process was open, who opened it and when. But this process values table represents all of the steps in that flowchart that I just showed you. And we can expand each of these and talk about what you can enter into the audit process. So in the planning stage, you can enter what type of audit it is, whether it's an internal audit, a regulatory audit, a supplier audit. And these categories come from a custom list, so you can create those to meet your auditing types for your organization. What GXP area or areas, that's a multi-select field, are related to the audit, whether it's an internal or an external audit, whether it can be done on site or by a questionnaire or virtual or remotely, the sites being audited, who is performing the audit, and whether a third party might be performing it. And then you have information around the proposed start date of the audit, who will host or lead the audit, the team members for the audit team, and the overall purpose and scope. So all of that can be entered in the audit planning stage, and you can also link any documents related to that, such as an audit agenda. In the next step, you're preparing for the audit. And so, again, this is a configurable custom list here where you can put down the activities that you usually do when preparing for an audit. So, here you see some examples that I have, such as scheduling the audit, assembling the audit team, scheduling a ready room, which you may use when people come in for audits, and publishing an agenda. So, now that we know that all of that is prepared, we go to the audit itself. And during the audit itself, you have the ability to enter as many daily summaries as you may need for each day the audit takes place. For each of those summaries, you can put information that was looked at during that day, the purpose of the meeting, whether it was just a daily meeting or a closeout meeting, and a summary of the meeting. And for each day, you can put some preliminary findings. During the last day, if you say yes, the exit meeting has occurred, that will trigger the workflow to go to this next step called preparation and issuance of an audit report. In that step, you can attach your audit report, decide whether you want to obtain confirmation that the auditee received the report, and whether any responses are required. And this is where you can summarize your findings that you may have put preliminary ones up at each day. So you can summarize your findings, the number in each of these areas: critical, major, minor, or just comments. And then, as far as the responses to that, you can manage the dates that you sent letters, that the responses were accepted, and do you want to track any audit commitments that may be required? And here you can see I chose in this audit to say I'm going to track my commitments with a CAPA. So I actually initiated a child process for this audit. I initiated a CAPA because I'm going to track my commitments via a CAPA. But Martine, I know we do it a little bit differently when we use this process internally at SOLABS. Can you share that?
Yes, Gretchen, you're right. I do it a bit differently. So in this step, what I will do is if I have commitments to meet, if I have things to do, whatever activity I will need to do, review a procedure, any kind of commitments that even if it's internally or if it's client commitments or any kind of these, instead of starting a CAPA, I use the secondary tasks that are available in the step. So for each of the commitments, I will create a secondary task and assign it to the responsible. So each person who has something to do will receive the task, and I can then set up the due date and everything. So in the description, I will write what is to do, set up the due date, set the assignee, and send all the tasks for everything that needs to be done in regards to this audit. So I use this. It's a different way to use it. You can either start a CAPA and do it through this one, start secondary task through the CAPA, or just document it in the CAPA. But I really like using the secondary task because it sends the task to everyone in the system so they can work on it in the system per se. So I think it's a good way to use the system.
And if we look here, they can attach external
Yeah,
documents to a secondary task as well as
exactly.
attaching them to a kappa. So
Exactly.
that works out really well.
Yeah, they can put their evidence and everything in the task itself. So yeah, I find it really, really useful. And it's good for tracking after that. You will see we have a report that is linked to this process, and it's easy to track the completion of the task through the report.
Okay, we'll certainly look at that shortly, but thank you. Because after we finish all the audit responses, we can formally say that the commitments are completed and then the audit will be closed. And like all of our processes, we have all the related items, all the documents that we may have attached through the link documents option on the right hand side that you see here. So in this example, not only do I have secondary tasks as related items, I have attached documents, my audit agenda, my audit checklist, my audit report, the response letter, the acknowledgement letter, and evidence can be attached as well, as we said, whether it's documents, SOPs, photographs. You can attach related documents from inside SOLABS if they're internal documents, or from outside SOLABS, you can scan them in and attach them. Once the audit is closed, we have reports that come with the audit process, and there's a new report for the audit process that we'd like to show you. Here's the new report, and I know, Martine, you have used this because you use this audit process internally, as you just said. So, what are some of the highlights of this new report?
You can follow up on everything in the report. So if you look at the audit, I think it's the audit all audit report, you will see that everything that has been entered in the process. You can filter by type of audit. You can do as much as you want. You can filter it through if you have major findings, or if you can look at the response due date. Is it coming due? Is it so you can really easily follow up with that report on something you need to do. So and the one I really like is because I use the secondary task, of course, because I use these as to assign the activities. I will use this secondary task report to follow up on the status of the task. So I will see the due date, everything that is coming due, everything that people have assigned, so I can see by people, by assignee, who's late, which is coming. I think it's I don't know. It's the tab before, yeah, this one. So you will see each of the audit process and all the tasks within each of these, the due date, and you can in this one also filter by type of audit, category, area, the assignee, and everything. So I really like to use this report to follow up on activities.
This has everything all in one place, and
Yeah,
secondary tasks was one thing that in the previous reports was not as easy to be able to track using the report. So this is excellent.
yeah.
All right. Well, I think that just about covers it for the audit process. Now, if you, as a listener, would like to create this process initially for your system, we will attach the link to our SOP for our audit process and how we use it in the description below. So feel free to use that as a baseline if you'd like. So thank you very much, Gretchen and Martine, for being here today.
Welcome.
You're welcome.
All right. And then, to our listeners, I would like to, first of all, thank you for listening. And then if you have anything you would like us to cover in another podcast or any suggestions for the format, please let us know and we'll be very happy to adapt for this. And you can reach out to us at solabs-podcast@solabs.com. So thank you again and have a great rest of your day.